Hi guys, this is Meenu. Welcome back to my channel, Storytale. Let's talk about Dreamland by Nicholas Sparks. It is the latest book in his collection. I have never read a Nicholas Sparks book before. I have seen his movies, at least the movies that were based on his books. I have not watched all of them, but I have watched I think 3. The Notebook, of course, The Notebook, Dear John, and A Walk to Remember. I love 2 of these movies. I loved The Notebook. It is a classic and I love it. I also loved A Walk to Remember. It was very sweet, very heart touching. I really loved it. Dear John, I liked it, but it was not really great. I liked it in bits and pieces. The only character that I actually loved from that movie was the father. I really loved his character and his whole dynamic with his son and everything. The way he was feeling, I felt very bad for him. The way that his son was kind of ignoring him, he did not realize that he had a problem, he had some sort of issues. So all those things I actually loved, but other than that, Dear John was kind of boring for me. But anyway, I really wanted to read a book of Nicholas Sparks. That is why I picked up Dreamland, which is the latest book in his collection. Before I get into my review of the book, let me tell you a little bit of the synopsis. Our first character is Colby, who is a farmer and he's also a part-time musician. He loves to write music. He is a great singer, but he had to give up on his career because he had to take care of the farm because there was some incident at his home. That is why he was the sole responsible for this farm. There's also another reason, but that we will find out by the end of the book. That is a spoiler, so I cannot say it. As this is a very new book, I'm gonna keep this review spoiler free. Colby actually is a very good farmer. He really enjoys his time at the farm. That is why he does not have many regrets. But he did go to Florida when he had this short time gig at this, I think, restaurant or club, I do not remember. So he had to go to Florida for that. He took a few days vacation, and that is where he meets Morgan, who is gonna be his girlfriend. When they met, they had this Insta connection and they fell in love with each other in a matter of a week. They both connected through their past, which is kind of painful for both of them. Morgan is a social media influencer. She's a dancer. She has this group where they dance and perform on social media, and they have a lot of following. And she's also a musician. She sings very well too, and that is where she wants to take her career. Colby, like I said, has a lot of responsibility, so of course he cannot pursue after her. He has to go back home to his farm. I do not remember the place of the farm, but anyway, he has to go back to his life. So that is where their problem begin, because of course they think that long distance relationship does not work. I do not like to believe so. If you love somebody, long distance can work. It is not that difficult. At least in India, I have seen many people make long distance work. So I do not know where the problem is. But anyway, that is a very big obstacle which both of them are finding it very difficult to overcome. That is the basic story of Colby and Morgan. So that is our first POV, from the POV of Colby. The other POV that we get is of Beverly. She is mother on the run with her 6-year-old son. Both of them are running from her abusive husband, who used to beat her up, and he was beating her child too. She sacrificed a lot in the marriage, and the beating or whatever abuse that she got, she handled it as long it was only on her. But when it came to her child, she could not bear it anymore, and that is why she ran away from her husband. It was not easy running away from her husband, because his husband is basically a cop. He works for Homeland Security, and of course he has a lot of connection, he has a lot of powers. That is why it is not really easy for her to run away from him, but still she tries. She is very anxious and she is very scared. Every moment she is like in fear that she's going to get caught, and after that she won't be able to see her son anymore. And that is where we get her POV, and her POV is the most interesting of all in this book. But whatever she does after she reaches this small town and she decorates this house, and she does not have any money left with her, she is barely making it work. So all her struggle were actually very interesting to read. So this is the second POV we get. Of course, there's this huge big twist by the end of the book, how Beverly and Colby are actually connected to each other, how all of these 3 characters relate to each other is basically the plot point of this book. Like I said, I cannot reveal what happens in the end, but the end is kind of interesting. It was a little bit predictable because this is the way that everyone takes. I have seen this in many books and many movies. This is a very, I do not know, a safe option to take. It was like I could not guess from the start what was actually happening, but when it happened, I was a little bit disappointed because I did expected a little bit better of the connection. I think it was not thought well through, at least not for my liking. It has been done and dusted so many times, so it was nothing new with that twist. But anyway, let me get to the like and dislike section. The first thing that I like and loved about this book is Beverly herself. She is an amazing character. I really loved her struggle in this book. Her POV was the one that I was actually looking forward to. I did not look forward to Colby's POV, but Beverly POV was very realistic. It was, very relatable. She was a mother on the run, and she has to be very careful about each and everything, about the people that she meets. Everything about her was very relatable, was very realistic, and I really loved it. It was the only thing that was keeping me hooked to the story. It was the only thing that was, very interesting in this book. Other than that, other parts were not that good. The second thing that I like about the book is the writing itself. I think it was a well-written book. Of course, Nicholas Spark is a well-renowned author and he is very experienced. So, of course, I could not have found fault in his writing. It flows very well. It is very easy to read. It does not get confusing at all, except maybe a little bit in the ending because of the whole truth and everything. But other than that, I think this book flows very easily, yet it was very boring at many pages. But wherever it was interesting, it flows very well. It transitions very well from Beverly to Colby and everyone. So it was not very confusing. I actually think it was very well written. Like I said, Beverly is the most interesting part of this book, and the way that her scenes were written, actually it was very nice. I mean, the whole suspense, her fear, everything that was shown, each and every character that was staring at her, the way that it has been, I do not know, shown, I think it was very interesting. It was very gripping. I really liked it. The whole suspense of her husband, we actually did not get to meet her husband, but the whole suspense of him actually looming over her, that whole town, it felt so creepy from her point of view at least. I really loved it. I really loved each and every scene that we have with Beverly, and I think it was the most well written part of this book. But still, it was very easy flowing. It was very easy to understand. There was nothing much complicated in this book. So for someone who does not like complicated reading, I think this is gonna be a well-read book. This is where the likings of the book actually ends for me. There was nothing more exciting about this book. There was nothing good about this book. I was really disappointed with this one because this was my first time reading a Nicholas Spark book, and of course I had high hopes for it. I have never read his book before, so I do not know the way he writes. I do not know how his stories actually work. I've seen the movies, but I know movies differ a lot from the books, so I do not know how much different the movie is from the book. But anyway, I really had high hopes. Now let's talk a little bit about the dislike section. The first thing that I did not like about the book was the Colby's POV. It was so boring. I did not like it. I was skipping a lot when it came to Colby's POV because it was very mundane. It was like, okay, they were meeting and they were talking, and there was just a lot of talking. There were a lot of talk of music, and there were also songs included in everything. So it was very boring. I also did not enjoy their romance. I think it was very boring. Like I said, it was like, why did they even fall in love? I do not understand. I get that Morgan was very pretty and Colby was handsome too, I guess, but other than that, they talked a little bit about the past, but other than that, what was the main connection here? They liked each other, they went out a few times, but they were confessing love for each other in a matter of weeks. So I do not know what actually attracted both of them to each other other than the looks. But like I said, it was so boring. There was nothing unique about the story. The only part where the story actually gets a little bit more interesting is by the end, when Colby is telling Morgan the whole story of his life and everything, and that is also the biggest twist in this book. That is the only part that I did not skip through. But like I said, the former chapters of them together, their meeting, their walks, their talks and everything, I skipped a lot because it was not interesting at all. The second thing that put me off was how different this book actually feels. This book actually feels like two kind of books. I mean, Beverly's point of view was literally totally different from Colby's point of view. I mean, I understand they're two people, but that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the writing style. Beverly's point of view writing style is way different from what is the writing style of Colby. So I do not know what happened there. It feels like this two POVs are written by two different authors. Beverly's point of view was so different from Colby's. I mean, I do not know what actually happened there. I would have loved if we got only Beverly's point of view throughout the book, not the Colby's part. It was so boring. But Beverly's point of view is the kind of book that I want to read. It was so gripping, so interesting. Each and every bit was written beautifully in this book. So I do not know why it felt so different, both of these point of views. I would have really loved if they've just continued Beverly's point of view and just cut out Colby's. I do not know what happened there, but I think this book actually feels like two different books. One was good, one was actually mediocre. The third thing that I did not like about the book was the ending itself. The big twist in the end. I know there was supposed to be a connection between Beverly and Colby, but we needed a little bit of different connection. I mean, it was just, I do not know, done and dusted. Like I said, it has been used so many times, this excuse, this thing that we have seen in so many books and so many movies. It was nothing different. It was very disappointing. It really felt very much anticlimactic, to be honest. I mean, I was really building up with this Beverly's point of view. I was really looking forward to it, and then we got that twist. I mean, it was a sad twist. I'm gonna say it was very heartbreaking, but again, it was boring nonetheless. I would have preferred a very different ending. And Colby's and Morgan's romance, the way it ended, I knew it was how it's gonna end. So again, that was very predictable too. So I was like really disappointed with the ending. I expected a little bit more better connection between the all three characters. I needed something else, but that did not happen. I think if the ending would have been much better than what we actually got, I would have given this book a little bit higher rating than what I'm gonna give. Do I think this is a bad book? No, of course not. This is not a bad book. This is not something that you're gonna hate or regret. You can read it. Like I said, it is an easy read. It flows very easily. You have to bear a little bit through the Colby's point of view, but Beverly's point of view is actually worth reading. Like I said, it is very well written. So you can pick up this book just for her point of view. And the ending, you may like it. I did not like it. You may like it. I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So this is not a bad book. You can pick it up. If you love Nicholas Sparks, you're gonna love this book too. For someone who is just starting Nicholas Sparks, it was a little bit disappointing for me. That is why I'm gonna give this book 3 stars. I have given 3 stars instead of 2.5 stars just because of Beverly's point of view. I think it was, like I said, written brilliantly. So I gave the extra half star for Beverly only. That is the only reason. If you want, you can give this book a try, and of course do let me know in the comments down below what you think of this one. Do you like anything about this book? Did you like the ending? Do let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next week with another video. Stay tuned.